The room went silent when the lawyer handed me the necklace. Not because it was beautiful, not because it was valuable, because everyone in my family knew exactly what it meant. Grandma had left my cousins the beach house, the investment accounts, the antique furniture, and the family jewelry that had been locked away for decades. My aunt got the silver, my uncle got the land, my cousin Vanessa got Grandma's diamond bracelet, the one she had been asking about since she was 16. And me? I got a necklace so cheap the gold had already started fading around the clasp. A thin little chain, a dull heart-shaped pendant, the kind of thing you'd find in a thrift store basket for $3. My cousin laughed first. She tried to cover it with a cough, but she laughed. Then my Aunt Margaret looked at the necklace in my palm and said, "Well, your grandmother always did have a strange sense of humor." Nobody defended me, not even my mother. She just stared straight ahead, lips pressed together, like if she didn't look at me, she wouldn't have to admit what was happening. The lawyer cleared his throat. "There is also a note." That made everyone look up. He unfolded a small piece of paper, yellowed at the edges, and read Grandma's handwriting out loud. "To Nora, wear it when they make you feel small. One day you'll understand why." My cousin Vanessa rolled her eyes. Dramatic until the very end. The others chuckled. But I didn't. Because while they were laughing, I felt something shift inside the pendant, something tiny, something hidden. And when I pressed my thumb against the back of the cheap little heart, I heard a click. Nobody else heard it. The lawyer kept reading, the family kept whispering, but I stared down at that necklace in my palm, suddenly unable to breathe, because the pendant had opened just slightly, and inside it was not a picture, not a lock of hair, not some sentimental old memory. It was a key, a tiny brass key, folded into the hollow center of the necklace, like Grandma had been carrying a secret against her chest for years. And just before I could close my hand around it, my mother finally looked at me. Her face had gone pale. Not sad, not surprised, afraid. That was the first moment I understood something. Grandma had not forgotten me. She had chosen me. And whatever that key opened, my family already knew it existed. They just never thought I would find it. The reading of the will ended 20 minutes later, but I barely heard another word. Everyone stood around the lawyer's conference room, pretending to be polite while silently measuring what everyone else had received. My Uncle Byron spoke first. "So the beach house stays in the family," he said, as if he had not just inherited it himself. My Aunt Margaret nodded. "That's what Mother would have wanted." That was a lie. Grandma hated that beach house. Not the house itself, maybe, but what it had become. A place where the family gathered every summer to perform love in front of neighbors, then tear each other apart behind closed doors. A place where my cousin Vanessa showed off whatever new car or boyfriend or designer bag she had. A place where I washed dishes after dinners I was barely invited to. A place where Grandma once found me crying in the laundry room because my mother had forgotten my birthday again. I remembered her sitting beside me on the washing machine, smelling like lavender soap and peppermint tea. "They don't know what to do with a quiet girl," she had told me. "I'm not quiet," I whispered. "No," she said, "you're listening. There's a difference." That was Grandma. She saw things no one else noticed, including me, especially me. Vanessa appeared beside me, her diamond bracelet already shining on her wrist. She tilted her head toward my closed fist. You're really holding on to that thing like it's treasure. I didn't answer. She smiled. You know, I always thought Grandma liked you because she felt sorry for you. I looked at her. She said it softly, sweetly, like she was doing me a favor by being honest. Vanessa, my mother warned. What? Vanessa laughed. I'm just saying, Nora shouldn't take it personally. Some people get assets. Some people get symbols. My fingers tightened around the necklace. A cheap necklace. A hidden key. A terrified look from my mother. I almost said something. Almost. But Grandma's note echoed in my head. Wear it when they make you feel small. So I slipped the chain around my neck. Vanessa's smile faded just a little, and that tiny change gave me more satisfaction than it should have. The lawyer, Mr. Harlow, walked over while the family began filing out. He was older than I remembered, with silver hair and tired eyes that looked like they had seen too many families pretend grief was the reason they were angry. Nora, he said quietly, may I speak with you for a moment? My mother stopped near the doorway. So formal, she said. Is there something else? Mr. Harlow looked at her. Privately? The word landed hard. My aunt turned. My uncle frowned. Vanessa's eyes narrowed. My mother stepped closer. I'm her mother. I'm aware, Mr. Harlow said. His voice was calm, but there was steel under it. My mother's expression tightened. Nora, she said, we're leaving. For 31 years that sentence would have worked. Nora, we're leaving. Nora, don't make this difficult. Nora, not now. Nora, let it go. But Grandma was dead. My family had just laughed at my inheritance, and there was a key hidden inside the necklace on my chest. So, for the first time that day, I looked directly at my mother and said, I'll meet you outside. The room changed. Not dramatically. No one gasped. No music swelled. But everyone felt it. Because in my family, I was not supposed to say no. My mother stared at me as if I had spoken another language. Then she gave Mr. Harlow a look I couldn't read and walked out. The door closed. For a moment, the office was quiet. Mr. Harlow went to his desk, opened the bottom drawer, and removed a sealed envelope. It had my name written on it. Nora Elaine Whitmore. Grandma's handwriting. My throat tightened. She asked me to give this to you only after the others left, he said. When did she write it? 3 weeks before she passed. I reached for it. He didn't let go immediately. Nora, he said, before you open this, I need you to understand something. Your grandmother was very deliberate. She knew exactly what she was doing. I swallowed. What does the key open? Mr. Harlow glanced toward the closed door, then back at me. That answer is in the letter. I opened the envelope with shaking fingers. Inside was a single page. No long goodbye, no sentimental speech, just Grandma's neat, careful handwriting. My Nora. If they laughed, good. That means they still underestimate you. The necklace is not the gift. It is the beginning. The key opens box 17 at the old train station storage office on Waverley Street. Do not tell your mother. Do not tell Margaret. Do not tell Byron. And whatever you find inside, do not sign anything they put in front of you, especially if they say it is for the good of the family. Trust Mr. Harlow only until the first door opens. After that, trust the woman in the blue house. You'll know her by the red gate. I am sorry I could not tell you sooner. I tried once. They stopped me. I loved you more honestly than they ever allowed me to show. Grandma. I read it once, then again. Then a third time because my brain refused to accept the words in the order they appeared. They stopped me. The woman in the blue house. Do not sign anything. Trust Mr. Harlow only until the first door opens. I looked up. Mr. Harlow was watching me carefully. Do you know what this means? I asked. I know part of it, he said. That's not an answer. No, he admitted. It isn't. A cold feeling moved through me. Why would she say to trust you only until the first door opens? His jaw tightened. Because your grandmother didn't trust anyone completely. Including you. Including me. Most lawyers would have tried to defend themselves. He didn't. That scared me more. I folded the letter slowly. Is my family waiting outside? Yes. Do they know about the envelope? They know your grandmother left private instructions. They don't know what was inside. But my mother knew about the necklace. Mr. Harlow hesitated. Your mother knew your grandmother wore it often. That's not what I asked. He exhaled. I believe your mother knew there was something hidden. I don't believe she knew what. I touched the pendant. It felt heavier now, not physically, but the way a secret becomes heavy once you know it belongs to you. What's in box 17? I cannot tell you. Because you don't know. Because your grandmother instructed me not to. I almost laughed. She's dead. His eyes softened. Yes, he said, but her instructions are not. When I stepped outside, my entire family was waiting in the parking lot. Not together, that would have looked too obvious, but close enough. My mother stood beside her black SUV with her arms crossed. Vanessa leaned against her car, pretending to check her phone. Aunt Margaret and Uncle Byron were speaking in low voices near the curb. The moment I came out, everyone stopped pretending. My mother walked toward me. What did he give you? I had already put the letter in my coat pocket. Nothing important. She looked at the necklace. Take that off. I blinked. What? You heard me. Her voice was low now, controlled. The voice she used when she didn't want outsiders to know she was angry. That thing is old and dirty. You don't need to wear it. Vanessa laughed from behind her phone. Maybe she likes vintage trash. My mother didn't laugh. That told me everything. I kept my hand away from the necklace. I'm keeping it. Nora. No. The word came out sharper this time. My mother looked almost wounded, which was one of her best tricks. She could hurt you for years, then make your first act of self-defense look like cruelty. After a moment, she stepped closer. You have no idea what your grandmother was like. I stared at her. She was kind to me. She was manipulative. She listened to me. She used people. She loved me. That shut her up, only for a second. Then her face hardened. You think love is a cheap necklace and a dramatic note? No, I said. I think fear is telling me to take it off. My mother's eyes flicked toward my pocket. She knew. Maybe not everything, but enough. Uncle Byron approached, smiling in a way that made my skin crawl. Nora, sweetheart, emotions are high today. Your grandmother's passing has affected all of us. He had not visited Grandma once in her final 6 months. Not once. I'm sure whatever Harlow said in there felt important, he continued, but sometimes elderly people create confusion without meaning to. Grandma wasn't confused. His smile twitched. No one said she was. You just did. Aunt Margaret joined him. We're only concerned about you. That almost made me laugh. Concerned. The family word for control. "You've had a difficult life," she said. I looked at her. "Have I?" "Well, you've always struggled." "With what?" She seemed surprised by the question. "With direction, stability, confidence." There it was, the family script. Vanessa was brilliant. My brother Caleb was ambitious. My cousins were promising. I was unstable, sensitive, difficult, unfocused. The strange thing was, for years, I believed them. When people describe you the same way long enough, you start using their words before you even notice. But standing there with Grandma's necklace against my collarbone, I suddenly understood something. They needed me to be weak, because if I wasn't weak, then the way they treated me would be impossible to justify. "I'm fine," I said. My mother's voice dropped. "Give me the necklace, Nora." Vanessa finally looked up. The others went still, too still. And there it was, the confirmation. Nobody fought this hard over vintage trash. I smiled. Not because I felt brave, I was terrified. But Grandma had known this moment would come. Wear it when they make you feel small. "No," I said. My mother's face changed. Only for a second, but I saw it. Panic. Then rage. Then the mask again. "Then don't come crying to me when you get hurt." I walked to my car without answering. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped the keys twice before I got the door open. I didn't drive straight to Waverley Street. That would have been the obvious thing. And for the first time in my life, I was done being obvious. I drove 3 blocks away, parked behind a pharmacy, and waited. 5 minutes later, my mother's SUV passed slowly down the street. Then Vanessa's car, then Uncle Byron's. They were looking for me, or following me, maybe both. My stomach turned cold. I waited another 15 minutes. Then I took side streets across town until the old train station appeared through the afternoon rain. It had been converted years ago into a row of small storage offices, a coffee shop, and a dry cleaner that always smelled like dust and steam. Box 17 was not in the main storage area. The woman at the front desk looked up when I asked about it. She was in her 70s, with sharp eyes and a cardigan buttoned all the way to her throat. "Name?" she asked. "Nora Whitmore." Her expression changed, not much, but enough. She reached under the counter and pulled out an old paper ledger. "Identification." I handed over my driver's license. She checked it carefully. Then she looked at the necklace. "You found it." I touched the pendant. "You knew my grandmother." "Everyone knew Ruth Whitmore," she said. "Not everyone knew her well." "Did you?" She closed the ledger. "Well enough to know she was running out of time." A chill moved through me. "What's in the box?" The woman did not answer. Instead, she took a ring of keys from her drawer and motioned for me to follow. We walked down a narrow hallway lined with locked metal doors. The lights buzzed overhead. Somewhere in the building, a pipe knocked softly behind the wall. At the end of the hall was a small room with no number on the door. The woman unlocked it. Inside were old safe deposit boxes built into the wall, not modern, not digital, heavy steel, dull with age. She stopped in front of box 17. "There are 2 locks," she said. "One is mine." She inserted her key and turned it. "The other is yours." My fingers felt numb as I removed the tiny brass key from the necklace. It looked too delicate for the lock, too small to matter. But when I slid it in, it fit perfectly. The box opened. Inside was a brown leather folder, a small black flash drive, and a photograph. I picked up the photograph first. Grandma stood in front of the beach house, younger than I had ever seen her, holding a baby wrapped in a yellow blanket. On the back, in blue ink, she had written, "Nora, 3 days old," before they changed the story. The hallway seemed to tilt. Before they changed the story? My hands went cold. The woman beside me said nothing. I opened the leather folder. The first document was a birth certificate. Mine. Nora Elaine Whitmore. Mother, Elaine Whitmore. Father, blank. I stared at the empty space. I had seen copies of my birth certificate before. The father section had always said Daniel Whitmore, my mother's late husband, the man I had been told died when I was a baby. But this certificate was different, original, stamped, filed. Beside it was a second document, a legal amendment dated 2 years after my birth. Petition to alter paternal record, signed by my mother, witnessed by Margaret Whitmore, approved through family council. My mouth went dry. "What is this?" I whispered. The woman finally spoke. "It's what your grandmother tried to tell you before they stopped her." I looked up. "Who are you?" She held my gaze for a long moment. Then she said, "My name is Clara Bell. I was your grandmother's nurse." "Her nurse?" "And before that," Clara said quietly, "I was the woman who helped deliver you." I could hear my heartbeat, actually hear it. "What happened to my father?" Clara looked toward the folder. "Read the next page." I didn't want to. Some part of me already knew that once I turned that page, my life would split into before and after. But I turned it anyway. The next sheet was not legal paper. It was a letter, not from Grandma, from a man named Thomas Vale. To Ruth. "If Elaine refuses to let me see Nora, then keep this safe. One day my daughter deserves to know I did not abandon her." I signed nothing willingly. I agreed to nothing freely. And if anything happens to me, remember what Byron said in the kitchen. No one will believe a man like you over a family like ours. Please protect her. Please protect my little girl. Thomas. I stopped breathing. My little girl. I read the line again, then again. The words blurred, not because I was crying, not yet. Because rage arrived before grief. A clean, burning rage that made everything else suddenly quiet. My mother had lied. My aunt had witnessed it. My uncle had threatened him. And Grandma had hidden the truth in a cheap necklace because she knew they would fight over everything expensive but laugh at anything they thought belonged to me. Clara placed a hand on the edge of the box. "There's more." I looked at the flash drive. "What's on it?" "Recordings, scanned letters, financial documents. Your grandmother spent the last year putting it together." "Financial documents?" Clara nodded. "Your father didn't just disappear, Nora." The room became too small. "What does that mean?" Clara's face tightened. "It means the money your family inherited all these years may not have been theirs." Before I could answer, a door slammed somewhere down the hallway. Voices echoed from the front office, angry voices, familiar voices. My mother, Uncle Byron, Vanessa. Clara moved quickly, closing the folder and pushing it into my hands. "Take it." "What about the box?" "Leave it open." "Why?" "Because if they see it empty, they'll know you have everything." "That sounds bad." "It is," Clara said. but it's better than them thinking there is still something here to fight over. Footsteps grew louder. My phone buzzed in my coat pocket. A text from my mother. Nora, do not do anything stupid. Then another. You have no idea what your grandmother started. Then a third. If you open that box, you will destroy this family. I stared at the screen. For years, that sentence would have broken me. Destroy this family. As if I were the danger, as if the lie was harmless until I touched it. Clara looked at me. You need to decide now. The footsteps stopped outside the hallway. My uncle's voice cut through the air. She's here. I held the leather folder against my chest. Inside it was a father I had never been allowed to know. A lie that had shaped my entire life, and proof that my family had stolen more than money. They had stolen my name, my story, maybe even my future. The doorknob turned. Clara whispered, "Back exit, now." I ran. Not because I was weak, not because I was scared, but because for the first time in my life, I had something worth protecting. And as I slipped through the rear door into the rain, clutching Grandma's secret against my chest, I heard my mother scream my name from inside the building. Not with sadness, not with fear, with fury. Because she knew. The forgotten daughter had found the key, and the family story was about to burn. I didn't go home. That was the first decision I made entirely for myself. For 31 years, every major choice in my life had somehow passed through my family's approval system. Where I lived, where I worked, who I dated, even what I believed about myself. Now I was sitting alone in a roadside motel 2 counties away, with a leather folder, a flash drive, and a family secret so large it could destroy everything my relatives had spent decades building. Outside, rain tapped against the window. Inside, I finally plugged the flash drive into my laptop. The first file was labeled, "Read this first." It was a video. Grandma appeared on the screen. Older, thinner, but unmistakably Grandma. For a moment I couldn't speak, then she smiled. "Hello, Nora?" My eyes immediately filled with tears. "If you're watching this, then you found the necklace." She paused. "And if you found the necklace, then they failed." The word hit me hard. They. Not your mother, not your aunt. They. As a group, as a decision, as a conspiracy. Grandma sighed. "I wanted to tell you years ago." Her eyes lowered. "They wouldn't let me." The room suddenly felt colder. "Your father was never the man they told you he was." I leaned closer. "He loved you." Another pause. "He fought for you." Then Grandma looked directly into the camera, and what happened to him was not an accident. My stomach dropped. For several seconds I couldn't breathe. Not an accident. The next file answered why. It contained bank transfers, legal records, property agreements, business documents. One name appeared again and again. Thomas Vale, my father. The man my family claimed had abandoned me. The truth was worse, much worse. Years before I was born, Thomas had owned 30% of a development company that later became worth millions. The company eventually grew into the source of much of my family's wealth. The beach house, the investments, the properties, the money. It all traced back to those original shares. My uncle Byron had been Thomas's business partner, and according to the documents, Byron had forced him out shortly before my birth. Then came lawsuits, threats, legal pressure. Suddenly, Thomas disappeared from the company. Months later, he disappeared from my life. The official story claimed he voluntarily signed everything away. The document suggested otherwise. Then I found the recording. The recording changed everything. It was old, scratchy, but clear enough. My uncle's voice. "Walk away from the girl." Silence. Then another voice, Thomas. "No." A long pause, then Byron again. "If you keep pushing this, you'll lose everything." The recording ended. That was all. No confession, no movie villain speech, just enough. Enough to reveal what kind of man my uncle really was. Enough to explain why Grandma spent years collecting evidence. Enough to explain why she hid everything. But the biggest revelation came 2 hours later. A document labeled Trust Agreement. I opened it, then read it again, then a third time, because I thought I misunderstood. The development company, the original company, the source of the family's fortune. Thomas had never completely lost ownership. A percentage had been placed into a protected trust, and that trust belonged to one person. Me. I stared at the screen. The legal language was complicated, but the meaning was simple. For years, my family had enjoyed wealth built on assets that legally belonged to their forgotten daughter, me. Not all of it, but enough. Far more than anyone expected, far more than they wanted me to discover. And suddenly my mother's panic made sense. The necklace, the box, the lies. They weren't protecting the family, they were protecting themselves. The next few weeks became a war. Not a loud war, a paper war, a legal war. The kind fought with evidence instead of shouting. My family tried everything. Calls, messages, threats disguised as concern, offers disguised as apologies. My mother cried. My aunt begged. Vanessa accused me of being greedy. That one almost made me laugh. Greedy. After spending 31 years taking whatever scraps they decided I deserved. But I didn't rush. That was Grandma's final lesson. Move slowly, move carefully, let the truth do the work. So I hired attorneys, independent attorneys, not family attorneys, and together we began opening doors. Every document led to another document. Every lie led to another lie. Every secret uncovered a larger secret beneath it. By the time the process was over, the picture was clear. My father had not abandoned me. He had been pushed out, isolated, destroyed financially. And when he tried to fight back, he was buried under legal pressure he couldn't afford. He eventually moved overseas. He spent years trying to contact me. Letters, requests, court filings. Every single attempt intercepted, blocked, hidden, mostly by my mother. That hurt more than anything. Not Byron, not the money, my mother. Because deep down, I always hoped there had been some explanation, some misunderstanding. There wasn't. She chose it, again and again, for years. The final confrontation happened 6 months later, at the beach house. The house everyone had fought over, the house nobody actually deserved. My mother sat across from me at the dining table, the same table where I spent years feeling invisible. She looked older now, smaller somehow. "What do you want?" she asked. I looked at her for a long moment, then answered honestly, "The truth." She laughed bitterly. "No!" Her eyes filled with tears. "What do you really want?" That was the moment viewers always imagine, the revenge speech, the humiliation, the dramatic victory. But standing there, I realized something. My family had spent decades trying to convince me my value came from what they thought of me, and now I finally knew it didn't. So I said, "I want nothing from you." For the first time in my life, I meant it. No approval, no apology, no explanation, nothing. That hurt her more than any argument ever could, because control only works when someone still wants something from you, and I didn't. The legal cases ended over the following year. Several properties were sold, financial settlements were reached, the trust was restored. My uncle lost much of what he had spent years protecting, not because of revenge, because of evidence, because of facts, because lies eventually become expensive. The most surprising part happened 2 years later. I met my father, not in a courtroom, not in some dramatic reunion, in a small cafe overlooking a river. He was older, nervous, just as scared as I was. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. Then he smiled, and I saw my own smile for the first time. The same eyes, the same laugh, the same habit of tapping fingers against the table when nervous. Years had been stolen from us. Nothing could change that. But for the first time, nobody stood between us. Not lies, not fear, not family. Just two people meeting each other honestly. Later that evening, after we talked for hours, I returned home. I opened the small wooden box where I kept Grandma's necklace. The cheap necklace, the one everyone laughed at, the one nobody wanted. I held it in my hand and thought about the day of the will, the laughter, the smirks, the pity. How certain they all were that I had lost. The truth was almost funny, because Grandma had understood something they never did. Greedy people always look at the price tag. Wise people look for the hidden compartment. And inside a cheap necklace, Grandma had hidden something far more valuable than money. The truth, my father, my identity, and the chance to finally write my own story. For the first time in my life, it